And we are going live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're live.
Good morning, Owasso. This is the Twins with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. It's currently 8 a.m. like normal. The temperature is 65 degrees outside. I'm talking a fantastic run myself and Chad had this morning. Like the kind of weather you just want to walk around in. Just great. Broke a good sweat. Just felt nice out. So good morning jog to the gym. We got a high of 85 today, so be prepared for that. It's going to be windy, though, because it's going to blow in some colder weather, unfortunately. So tomorrow's looking like a high of 50. So we're going to get in the low of 30 and a high of 50. So more normal weather for this time of year, unfortunately. But enjoy today while it lasts, because it feels phenomenal outside right now. With that being said, traffic conditions are slow in Tulsa right now. I'm guessing the on-ramp on 76th Street is causing the same old usual problems. Now, like I said, it's not standstill, but it is slow. So be advised, if you want to adjust your route, now would be the time to do so. Now, as far as local events, there's really not a whole lot going on this week. Pastries and Perks is coming up tomorrow, and that is from, 8 to 9? 8 to 9, typical. 8 to 9. So, I said that's a chamber event. Other than that, not a lot going on this week, folks. So, I guess in national news, what we've got going on, or the big thing that occurred, was a fellow member of the armed forces, Aaron Bushnell. He is a he was an active duty United States Air Force airman. Went and, for lack of a better term, he burned himself alive, kind of like the monks did during the Vietnam conflict. So
yes, and the reason he said he did it was because
of
the Israel
Palestine. He wanted to end the occupation of Palestine, which, if you know anything about the history of that region, that's this is not a Palestine awareness thing. This is a mental health crisis for our armed servicemen. And this guy in particular was definitely living in a bubble, because if you're not careful, like the people I see, look, I am not pro-Palestine or anti-Palestine. I'm not pro-Israel or anti-Israel. But if you get in these little online groups and you like something, let's say you're more pro-Palestinian, you're going to get fed the propaganda, the nonsense lies that, because, you have to understand, the Hamas and the Palestinian folks, they really benefit whenever Israel invades and retaliates against Palestine, because they're not going after the Palestinians, they're going after Hamas. But like I said, remember, the Palestinians elected Hamas into power, and they've never had an election since Hamas has been put into power. So there are, Palestinian citizens who do not want Palestine to be in, or does not want Hamas to be in power. But all the money that we send them, the billions in aid we send them, goes to the tunnels, goes to funding the terrorists, goes to funding all this stuff. So this is why we need to stop funding the Ukrainian war, and why we need to stop funding the Israeli conflict. And just like I said, again, my thought is media blackout in that region. Let Israel do what it needs to do to take out Hamas. It's going to be bad. But again, there's too many sympathizers in the Palestinian, I don't even know what you call it. It's not a government, yeah, to really weed out this problem. And the more people that Israel kills just creates more anti-Jew hatred. Like I said, I think Douglas Murray put it really well. Look, if we took Israel and put it on the moon, the Palestinians would say the moon belongs to them. That's the kind of vitriol and hatred that they have for the Jewish people in that country. And that's why the entire Islamic world is all on Palestine's side. They all hate each other in the Islamic world. They hate each other. Like, look at the border between Egypt and the Gaza Strip. If you want to talk about like what our border should look like with Mexico, that's what I wish our border looked like. I'm talking like a 40-foot fence with razor wire from the bottom all the way to the top, keeping King Kong out of there. Like, Egypt is one of Israel's biggest critics right now, yet they're not taking anybody in from Palestine or Gaza. They don't care because they don't want them there, because they know that they're troublemakers over there. Now, I'm not saying all of them, but I am saying that they elected a terrorist organization to rule over them. So that's what you're dealing with when we're talking about whether or not Israel's is overreacting. They're not. They're doing what they have to do, and every single time that they use, I mean, again, we've seen the recycled footage from the, what was that conflict in Syria, where they kept using the same actors over and over again. They kept using the same kids over and over again. Yep. To stage footage. Like, you don't think the Palestinians are doing that?
It was called like the White Helmets or something like that.
Yes, yeah,
the documentary, yeah,
which was all propaganda. Mm-hmm. And again, you also have everything works against Israel in this scenario because they just have all these people who are. I mean, when you see the interviews of like they put on school plays in Palestine where they have them executing Jews. Show it like this is elementary school plays. Like, they love it. Like, the parents are clapping in the crowds, and then they interview the kids, and they go, yeah, the greatest, thing that we can aspire to do and when we grow up is to kill Jews. Like, that's what they're raising these kids up in this environment with. It's kind of terrifying. Now, I'm not saying that I want to see these people wiped out, but I'm saying there is an indoctrination process going on in that country that it'll take years to undo. Yeah. This is why I like watching the son of Hamas.
Kind of coming back to what we were talking about the other day with bullying. I mean, like, everyone's like, people teach their kids to hate. Well, I mean, that's literally what you were just talking about right there, is like just that school sanctioned, hatred at that point.
State sanctioned hatred, yeah. So let's get back to Aaron Bushnell. So what happens is, I'm sure Aaron is pro-Palestine. Well, obviously he was pro-Palestine, and he got in this algorithmic loop where he just kept being fed Palestinian propaganda. I'm sure some of it was true, but a lot of stuff, like when the commercials you see, every commercial I see on YouTube, I swear to you, is aid for Palestine, aid for Palestine. It's like forgetting the fact that it was Palestine or the Hamas that launched these attacks into Israel and killed civilians at a music festival.
Yes.
None of them were armed.
Yes.
And, like, they call them freedom fighters. You're a freedom fighter killing civilians. Like, yeah, well, they're occupiers. Well, I guess if that case, every Native American here in the United States should just start killing everybody who lives here that's not Native American. That's the logic you're using when you argue that they're just killing the occupiers. It's not a big deal.
Correct.
That's insanity.
Yeah.
They should just learn to live in peace together because neither one of them's going anywhere. And so, again, back to Aaron Bushnell. Like, this is why AI and algorithms are going to destroy the mental health of our
younger generations.
Like I said, this guy is working for the United States government and got fed up in this loop. He's watching all this pro-Palestinian propaganda. He's getting fed up in the zeitgeist of it all. He's like, wow, there's just no say. I mean, we've been doing this for years. He's probably getting the one-sided history of what the people who believe in Palestine believe. It's like, oh, we were there first. It's like, Palestine didn't exist until like 1970. Like, the Palestinian people didn't exist until then. So, like, you can say that there were Islamic people living in that area. But again, remember, Islam didn't come about until 200 years after Christianity did.
Mm-hmm. And Judaism,
yeah. And you're saying that they have a historical claim to that? It's like Judaism came first, Christianity came with Christ, and then 200 or 500 years after that, Islam came around.
Yeah.
So what historical claim can you say that they have there? Other than just like you're arguing that there's our ancestral DNA can be linked over here. It's like, okay, but weren't most people that, I mean, again, this is the conqueror's arguments, like who conquered who and at what point, what historical property is given to who based on what. It's very complicated stuff, guys. And this poor guy got caught up in the zeitgeist, in the algorithm loop of pro-Palestinian propaganda, probably looked up into some really silly ahistorical facts about the area. And then, of course, we just passed that bill where we're sending a couple extra $1 billion to Ukraine and Israel to help support them in their conflicts. And what did he accomplish? Other than creating more pro-Palestinian propaganda, he accomplished nothing. The bill still passed. They're still funding and sending aid to Israel to fund their war effort.
Yeah.
He accomplished nothing, and he died for basically nothing because he got caught up in an algorithmic loop and the kid had mental health issues. Yep. I said, it's sad, a fellow armed forces member, and this happens to a lot of us, he probably felt lost and helpless in this conflict that doesn't even affect him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why would he feel more affected by this conflict than, say, what happened with George Floyd, than, say, what happened to Kyle Rittenhouse? Why is he so affected by that, by a conflict between Israel and Palestine, something that he's probably never even been there, more than likely? Yet he like, that's the weaponization of AI and algorithms. Like, it convinced this guy that this is the most important thing in the world, and it's not.
Yeah, this just comes to, like, get your kids off social media.
Yeah.
Get them outside, spend family time together, because that's what's important in life is family, community, friends.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get yourself boiled up into caring about stuff in the world that is completely out of your control and out of your grasp,
yeah,
you're going to drive yourself crazy.
You're gonna feel helpless.
Yes.
I said, worry about the things you can control. Don't worry about the things you can't. And as you acquire more skills and you acquire more capability and you get into positions of, let's say, power, you can affect positive change in the world. But if you're at a point where, like, there's nothing I can do and the only thing I can do is harm myself to bring awareness, it's like, that's not the way to go about doing it. That's not a way to bring about effective political and social change. And it's the same thing. And this algorithmic argument we're having, it's the same thing with the LGBTQ stuff. Kids, especially young kids, I'm not going to say names, but you know what we're talking about here. It's sensitive in the Owasso area. Kids get involved and they like this ideology. Let's say it's LGBTQ, non-binary, transgenderism stuff. You like one thing, or you get into a group and people start sending you stuff. All of a sudden, the AI or the algorithm starts feeding you that stuff and starts feeding it to you more and more, and that's the bubble it's creating for you. And all of a sudden, it's the most important thing in the world to you. Again, same with Aaron Bushnell. Same with what happened here in Owasso.
Yep.
What your children consume can become their bubble, and it can become their world. Like me, whenever I was a kid, I still am. I'm a huge movie fanatic. Love movies. And all of my world revolved around following, my favorite actors, following my favorite directors. The most important thing in the world was, what movie are they going to make next? That's what was important to me as a kid growing up. Thank goodness that's kind of a more normal thing to pursue. But like I said, again, you can get these unhealthy topics that the AI and the algorithms are going to feed you, and it's just going to not stop feeding it to you because it knows that's what you want.
Yeah. Healthy-ish in the degree that at least you could go try to pursue a career out of it, and it's not going to ultimately change your body or your life in any way.
Yeah.
If you're following, your favorite movie director or actor or whatever.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, it's going to continue to feed you, because what is the purpose of the algorithm? What is the purpose of the AI? What is the purpose of TikTok, Instagram, Facebook? It's trying to keep you on and swiping and scrolling as long as it can. It's going to give you stuff that again, that's why what happens when you talk about, I need to buy some new shoes. Now my phone's going to start generating ads of shoes because I'm thinking about buying shoes. I'm thinking about buying a new gun, more ammo. I'm thinking about buying some shirts. I'm getting ready to go on a cruise. It'll probably be like, hey, like I actually, which I am, like now it's showing me all kinds of different cruise ship things. I'm just like, I'm already booked. Stop.
Travel bags, carrying luggage stuff.
But again, that's what the reality it's trying to create for you. It's trying to facilitate a need that it knows you have based off of what you're clicking on, and it's just going to keep feeding it to you. And it's going to send you further and further down the hole. And like I said, again, you go down the pro-Palestinian propaganda hole, it's going to take you there. And it's going to show you all the stuff, and it's going to show you probably some real footage. It's going to show you some fake stuff. It's going to show you that White Hats documentary. It's going to show you lots of stuff. It's going to show you lots of anti-American propaganda. Like, look, and I'm not saying that we're perfect over here. Gosh, we've been involved in some conflicts that we shouldn't be involved. We're involved currently in conflicts we shouldn't be involved in. However, you keep diving down that rabbit hole, and you stay in it too long, and you're not able to discern fact from fiction because you don't know any better. You don't speak the language. You don't know the history of the area. You are going to, you're going to fall for anything and whatever they tell you, and you're going to believe it. Because a lot of this stuff is fake, a lot of it's doctored, and some of it's real, but only some of it. You know? If you're watching Palestinian stuff, watch the stuff where you see the Israelis giving water to Palestinian refugees as they pass by. You think they're just out there going, pulling up rifles, just shooting people for no reason? They are not executing people. Like I see people I went to basic training with who are of the Islamic faith, and all they do is they go, Israel stripped these soldiers naked, and like it's a war crime. It's like, I don't know, if you have an armed combatant who is willingly not complying, you want to strip them of their clothes to make sure they're not hiding any weapons or going to clap off a vest. So to them, they're like, this is a war. So to him, or these people that I knew from basic training who are a Muslim, are like, this is a war crime. This is evil. They're just trying to humiliate them. It's like, I don't know. Depending on what we know of the Islamic world, I would be stripping them their clothes and making sure they weren't wearing a vest too. Period. Like, I'm not going to endanger my life or my men's life because they feel they feel inconvenienced by humiliated by having their clothes removed. And like I said, they're not naked; they're in their boxers and stuff and in light t-shirts. But to them, it's like, oh, a disgusting, filthy Israeli. That's why I sit there and I go, these people are in a bubble. It's like. And again, I can fall victim to the pro-Israel stuff. I'm definitely more pro-Israel than I would say I'm pro-Palestine. But at the same time, I also realize that Israel's responses can be a little bit harsh. But at the same time, if you killed civilians or children or hurt some of my fellow countrymen, you can bet my response is going to be swift and terrible.
Yes, it's a very odd situation. There's like, we punish Israel for trying to defend itself, or retaliating against especially in this case, a government that's in the Gaza Strip that wronged them
and actively seeks its destruction. It goes, we will not coexist with these people. Like, I mean, that's what you're dealing with. With your next. Imagine if your next door neighbor said, "You will not be." In my fundamental philosophy of my household, you cannot exist as my next door neighbor. Like, I have to kill you and take your house and your wife and your kids. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can live next door to you for the rest of my life peacefully. Ugh, not gonna happen. And if that guy, this poor Aaron Bushnell kid who got his brain warped by the social media bubble and algorithm, if he had probably known that, then it'd be like, oh, well, maybe I can actually understand where they're coming from. Instead of trying to understand where they're coming from, he just got fed the propaganda, got fed the hate and the lies and the manipulation to, again, like I said, because hate sells. Anger sells. Outrage sells. Like a feel-good story about, an Israeli soldier handing some water and food to some Palestinian refugees who are trying to stay out of the combat zone on the edge of a combat line doesn't sell because it's not interesting. We want to see the algorithm wants to see pictures of dead babies, dead kids, and dead families, and it wants people to be like, "Rah, I'm angry. We have to stop this." It's like,
They proved this back when, back in the early 2000s.
yeah, this is why the
with
police
social
propaganda
media. Exactly.
stuff has gotten so bad, because the AI and the algorithms feed negative police stories out, but they don't show the happy police stories.
Yes.
They don't want that because
The algorithm realized that
outrage
outrage
sells.
generated more clicks than happy-go-lucky, here's a bunch of puppies, or here's somebody that's, doing something generous for the community.
Yeah, people want to be outraged. They want to be like, this is indicative of Israel. This is indicative of American society. This is indicative of the American police system. It's like, and then again, like yesterday we talked about, it turns out from that Harvard study, it's not indicative of anything. But that doesn't sell. The truth doesn't sell. It's not sexy. It's not outrage. It's not clickbaity.
Yep.
The truth isn't sexy. And like I said, the truth of the matter is, this Aaron Bushnell guy, in my opinion, got his brain warped by social media algorithms that fed him pro-Palestinian propaganda.
Yep.
And he threw away his life for what? So, I mean, the only thing that it's going to work for now, his life, is going to be more Palestinian propaganda.
Yep.
That's all.
Yep.
It didn't stop the bills from being funded. We're still sending billions to Israel. We're still sending billions to Ukraine.
Yeah, and it just comes back to, unfortunately, rearing it up again, Jordan Peterson. It's like, control what you can control in your life. If you focus on things that are way out of your control, like climate change, a war going on halfway across the globe, that's not really affecting you, you're going to drive yourself mad with
Rage,
trying to control it. Yeah, trying to control it and affect change that you can't affect because it's not your life. That's why I said, affect your life, the people around you, your community, start working your way up. That's why it's make your bed first. If you can make your bed, you can work your way up to making the world, slowly making, your house better, your community better, your city, work your way up from there. You can't not go from, hey, I don't even know what I want. Exactly. I don't know what I want to do.
Tatters and shattered. I'm just this angry, outraged person that doesn't know what I want to do in life. I'm not a productive member of society. I'm not a useful member of society. And I don't even know what to do. I'm just going to yell, scream. This is what, like I said, this is what people on our political side would say. This is why we don't trust the school systems and why we don't trust, effectively the school systems, because the schools don't seem to be trying to educate anymore. They just seem to be trying to make activists, especially higher education.
Yes.
It's like, we don't care about education. We care about activism. And that's what DEI, gender equity and inclusion, that's what all this is. It's a class. I mean, yesterday there were kids out in front of the Owasso High School, and thank goodness there weren't that many. But they staged a walkout. They had news cameras over there. There's probably about 15, 20 people over there, just, with their megaphone. Yeah, I drove by because I was going to get lunch. And I was going to, and of course I drove by and I was like, what? And then I was like, and then I could see all the pride flags and stuff, Not that many kids were involved in it. Thank goodness there wasn't like a total school walkout or something like that. But granted, they could have staged it like at a certain time and then went right. But I don't imagine like a walkout, they go right by class. And again, it's like, it's like South Park hit the nail on the head back in the day. It's like, if you go and protest the war, you get to skip school, and all the kids are like, yeah! So they all all the kids go out and protest the war, but not because they want to protest the war, they just wanted to get out of school. And is that what's happening with these guys? I'm sure there are some diehards who are out there like, I believe, but for the most part, I imagine most of these kids, especially if you're in in high school, junior, senior, you're trying to make sure you're getting prepped for college. And if you're not, you're making a foolish mistake by skipping school and not doing the things you need to do to get ready for your college time. So,
well, at this point, like I said, my opinion on that. College isn't worth it anymore at this point.
Unless you're in a STEM field.
Exactly.
Even the STEM fields are now getting indoctrinated by the DEI and gender. Again, like I said, TU, like I said, when we left, they made you take sexual assault training before you were even allowed to
sign up for your
courses. Now I bet you they make you take that on top of DEI, gender inclusivity training and stuff before you can decide, which is ridiculous. They're holding your college career hostage. If you don't go through and go through these sexual assault courses and these DEI courses, then okay, guess what? Your college career ends now. Like, this isn't what I signed up for. I signed up to learn how to do engineering. Like, this is not what I want. But yeah, I mean, they hold you hostage, and you're the one paying them. You're paying them for this service, and they get to go, yeah, we decide what type of, when that we decide whether or not we allow you to register for next semester. It's like they're just taking more and more power away from the consumer, despite the fact we're the ones paying the outrageous loan. But again, it's like then you have all these kids who just take out government sanctioned loans, and they just go, it's just guaranteed money to the school.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry about that. Again, like I said, we're just kind of going down the darkness of the news cycle, and like I said, a tragedy. We lost a fellow armed serviceman, and to, in my opinion, mental illness. So my heart goes out to him and his family, and my prayers are with them too. And I hope that they can find some peace in their time of grieving. So that being said, I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Remember to control the things you can control. Spend time with your friends and family, the people who actually love you and actually care about you. Remember, your friends aren't the people that tell you what you want to hear. Sometimes the most important people and most important friends are the people who tell you what you don't want to hear, the uncomfortable truths. So, with that being said, be sure to like, share, and subscribe so you too can stay in the loop. This is the Twins with the Owasso Live. This was the Morning Loop. We are signing off. God bless everyone out there.